so that we can, are you looking for, like a
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Paige, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Oh, we're the only two?
Do you go to the office anymore?
Um, not as often as I would like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just wondering. I
Yeah.
pop in there like once a week is a lot, or once every 2 weeks is probably more normal.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see both of those from there?
Ooh, look at that. They're actually going to use the meeting room.
Oh, no, now you can. I just gotta move it over. I just gotta move it over a little bit. Oh,
Post for us, Wendy.
Andy, Amy.
You gonna dance? Yeah, there we go. Dancing. I love it.
Keep twirling.
Yay.
You ever played trivia crack? Trivia crack?
No.
No?
Uh,
Awesome. All right.
Uh,
Can you hear us too? You gotta go get on so I can put you as co-host.
hi, boss.
Hello. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Paige,
I'm
we're
good.
famous. Look, you can see us on the TV.
Oh,
Right?
cool.
Hey.
Good thing I brushed my hair.
If I'm just sitting here though, and Jeff's not here, Rick, you're flying in here, and I'm just gonna start asking you questions. I'm kidding. He's like
Promise
speechless.
famous too.
like,
He's on the TV.
Oh,
He did a really great job
well,
coming.
Rick's on now, so nobody's gonna pay attention to us now.
Iceman, he calls himself.
You know. Yeah, at least it's not Maverick.
Hey, I'll be Maverick.
Yeah, okay, you be Maverick. I'm Iceman there. I'll be your wingman any day, right, Paigey? I can come up with all kinds of names for Kelly.
Oh,
Chris and I talk a lot, and so.
yeah, all good things. I know.
Oh yeah, I've said vast majority are good.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome, by the way. He's a keeper. You should keep him. He's very nice. He's extremely helpful.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
the
he?
plan.
That's the plan. That's good.
He is the best.
Hello.
Ooh, yeah. Wow.
All right, where my party people at?
Yeah, where's the music, Wendy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm just slacking. As usual.
Lydia, have we seen Jeff?
Yes, he's in his office and said, oh, I thought I was on Zoom. I said, no, we've set up for you in the training room.
We wanted to make this easy for you.
Yes, right, exactly. So he's here. Oh. And
Who's
Kami,
here?
did you make me your
Oh,
partner
I
in
did not.
crime here?
Not yet. I'm going to though. Thanks, Rick. Thanks. Rick just came in to make sure that I knew I had 0 friends as I'm sitting in here by myself. Well, look it. I've got 1 friend right here.
Yay!
I thought it'd make it easier by us not having to talk to each other via Zoom. Can you hear us without a microphone, or do we need a microphone?
You know what? I hear Heather in the other office saying no.
No,
I
I don't need a
didn't
microphone or no.
No, you
Can
need
hear
a
me?
microphone.
Need a microphone. Okay. Hello.
And Jeff doesn't have to sit there for the whole team meeting if he doesn't want to.
Yes, he does.
Oh, yes, he does. Sorry, never mind. Overruled.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
We hear
Okay.
you loud and clear, loud and proud, sister.
Awesome. Well, let's start out with some bucket fills. So again, it's going to be 3 of them. So whoever wants to start, go for it.
I'm gonna start. I got a call this week from Heather, and I really appreciate the call, and I don't think everybody knows what a hard job she has, and she does it so wonderfully, and without any hesitation, complaining. She is just an amazing MCA, and just thank you.
Thank you so much, Paigey. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I would have to second how hard of a job she has, as well as how hard she works. It's incredible. So thanks, Heather.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Who else?
I'm gonna sit here and wait for 2 more, so we can stare at each other, or we can share something good. I might even get Jeff to dance if we have to sit here too long.
Yeah, right?
You know, I have a hard time bucket filling because I could bucket fill everyone. All the agents are wonderful. The staff is wonderful. Everyone's great. Like really, I could do this with everyone. But Jacob, I'll give you a special bucket fill for always helping everyone with the tech questions and being available and just knowing command and supporting it. And just everyone, just so you do know, he is available via email, you know, phone calls. Just reach out to him. And thank you, Jacob, for always helping everyone with their command needs.
I'm always happy
Yeah.
to do it.
Jacob, I'd like to second that for Jacob, because he's helping us realize that these very not smart plans can be smart if Jacob finds a way to make them work, which is not easy at all. So thank you for that additional help.
Awesome. One more.
I know there's a lot to be thankful for here, people. Doesn't have to be only real estate.
All right,
I'll
so
go.
if we can get 3
I'll
bucket
go.
fills.
Maureen's got something.
I said
Maureen's
I'll
got
go.
something, Jamie.
I'm very thankful for Danielle. We are not on a team together, but we live in the same local community, and we've been reaching out and doing things in our local community. And, you know, I just think it speaks volumes for Keller Williams that 2 people that are on, you know, separate teams or whatever can still come together and support each other's businesses. And she has just been amazing. And I just see big things for her in the future.
I second
Sweet,
that,
Maureen.
and for
Thank
both
you.
of you.
I have to second that too. Both Danielle and Wendy, I was on vacation this last week, and they both helped me out incredibly with 2 different buyers. And that having that leverage, even when it comes from other people inside our market center, in fact, when it comes from other people inside our market center, is awesome. Being able to trust people. So thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Danielle, for your help, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right, thanks, guys. We are now getting to the main event. So this is Jeff Holmers. He has so graciously agreed to have me interview him. I'm not sure if it was me twisting some arms or if he's like, okay, fine. But he's here and he's gonna do it.
Turn up the sound.
So it's gonna start out, I'm gonna ask him some questions. He's gonna tell
Hey,
us
Jamie.
a story. And then at the end, if there's any questions that you guys have, we're gonna open it up for about 5-10 minutes to be able to ask him, you know, whatever dire need that you have. Wendy, you're waving your hand.
I'm waving my hand at you. Could you put your screen on speaker view, since that's the one that's recording? And then that will enable everybody to see a little better Mr. Holmers and you as our main deal. Thank you.
Awesome. I might have to, I don't know if that, okay. All right. So let's, hello, okay. Let's start with the first question. How long have you been in real estate?
Well, I'm going to age myself here. A very long time. 34 years, roughly.
Okay. So after preschool, when you got into the business, prior to, what were you doing?
Well, I got married at a very young age.
Okay.
I graduated from high school in 1982 and was married.
Hey, Jeff, can you make sure your mic is on and talk into it a little more, please? Thank you.
Yep. So I started, didn't have the opportunity to go to college, had started a family and had kids right away. I worked in the restaurant business for a while, and then I got into the car business for about 1.5 years. And then I knew all along that I was going to go into real estate. It was just a matter of when. My family was in real estate, my mother, my father, a couple uncles. So I knew that was where I wanted to be, and it was just a matter of time. I waited till I was 23, got my license, and from there it was, I started with a small firm, and you know, we'll go into some of these questions and really understand what I did, when I did it in my career, and how I sort of moved along through my career and became a top producer very quickly, just by, you know, my daily activities and what I did.
So when you were in the car business, right, and then you switched over, what made you think, man, let's go into real estate?
Well, the main thing was that my family was already in it, right?
Okay.
So I had family, I'd been around it my whole life. I somewhat knew the business, and I probably would have done it at 20. I just thought I was too young at the time to do it. And so 23 was, I felt the right time. And that's when I took the lead.
All right, let's get right into that portion. Did you start, you kind of mentioned your family was in it. Did you start on a team? Did you start solo?
I started solo 100% on my own. Again, I started with a very small firm that only had about 10 agents. And I learned from a couple agents in that office really what to do. They didn't have training like they do today. You basically really relied on, family, friends, and, getting out there and doing the daily activities. And the daily activities was open houses and cold calling at the time. So again, being very young, I didn't have, and my family being in the business, I didn't have a whole lot of family to go to, meaning uncles and aunts and stuff like that. So I basically started my day, every day, cold calling apartment buildings. And I used to have a system that I used to cold call. And
wait, hold on a second. You had a system right away when you got in the business?
I had a system right away, and that system was a little card file, and I would cold call apartment buildings. So I would drive around to find an apartment complex that I felt that the rents were a little bit upper than the average, that I knew those people could probably afford to buy a house if they understood how the process worked and how easy it was to have home ownership. So my system consisted of certain times of the day that I called, and some of the best times were at 11 o'clock. So a lot of people would come home for lunch, and then I'd cold call for 2 hours over that. And then I'd cold call at night from like 4 to 7. But my system, when I cold called, I would write down if I talked to somebody. Okay, if I got a hold of somebody, that was worth X amount of dollars. And I'd have to pull my old system out. I don't remember right offhand, but that was like $1. Okay. So if I talked to somebody and got an appointment, that was like $10. Okay. So I had this system down every day that I knew I was creating value in money, whether it was right away or for the future. So every day after the first month that I started, I knew when I went into that next month, I had a pile of leads already almost instantly. A lot of times, if it was a Monday morning, let's call it January 1st, I started dialing, and if I got a hold of them and said, well, a couple of the first questions I'd ask is when your lease is up. And do you want to buy a home, of course? And yes, we would love to buy a home, but we're in our lease until June 1st. Okay, so I would talk them through a little bit about the process. Typically, I would mail them something, and then I would say, I am going to follow up with you February or March. So March 1st, I knew if I opened my little box of cards, March 1st, yep, I talked to David and Jennifer on January 1st. They wanted to buy a house. Here's what they think they qualify for. I've already sent them a mortgage banker. This would be a fresh lead for me to work March 1st and say, okay, hi, David, Jennifer, Jeff Holmers here. Just want to follow up. We should start looking at homes, make sure you're pre-qualified so you can be out by June 1st. So I would do that every single day until I built up so many leads every time I opened that new month, and whether it was the 1st or the 15th or however I put them in, that sort of cultivated me to get going. It kicked off my real estate business fairly quickly. And so with that, I was at this small firm for about 1.5 years.
Can we go back to this system that you're talking about? So did you have like January, February, March, April, May? You just had like the 12 months?
I had the whole year out, yep.
Okay, so, and then once you talk to them, you put their card in February.
Made tons of notes.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
Detailed notes of what I talked to them about. Do they have a dog? What are some of the things they like? Where do they want to live? So I knew when I opened that card up that I was like talking to them again right away. you know, how's the dog, how's the stuff like that.
So you had a connection piece with them that you were starting to build a
Absolutely.
relationship.
Yeah.
The other piece of that is when you started your business, because I'd like to go back to, I mean, when you're talking about cold calling and building a relationship, it was really tough back then. I mean, now you can call and then you can send 12 emails a month
Right.
by not touching anything, right?
Yeah.
How would you find these people homes? Because there was not an MLS, was there?
Yeah, so we had big books. They were about this thick, and they came out once a week.
I think this is important for
Yeah.
anyone that's new in real estate.
Yeah.
There was not an MLS.
Yeah.
There was not like, oh, you go on Zillow and you find a house. There was a big book.
Yeah, no emails, nothing. There was, you know, so it was back in the day, which a lot of people probably don't remember this, but you know, when you walked into your office, there was a lady there at the front desk and she'd hand me 20 pink slips. And those pink slips were people that had called me, you know, called my office looking for me.
The landline.
Right, the landline, right? We didn't have cell phones back then. So it was a different animal back in 80, when we started, 87.
So it's a joke, right? I'm saying this as a joke, but at the same time, I think we all get caught up in how it has to be complex and difficult, right? And what you just described to us is a pretty simple system, but it was consistency.
Absolutely.
It was consistency, you cared, and you were building relationship the whole time.
Yep.
Okay, didn't mean to interrupt. I just
No.
wanted to kind of go into detail on that.
Yep. So today business is a lot easier. I can tell you that right now. You know, it's a lot easier. So, but yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere. And today, you know, KW has some great training and everything's possible at your fingertips, which is good.
So when you started that system, how long did it take you to get your first deal?
Probably 3 or 4 months. There were some people that I called right away and said, yeah, we'd love to. We didn't know how easy it was and stuff. And so I started doing deals fairly quickly.
Okay, so you brought knowledge to them.
Yeah.
You gave them information and you informed them and educated them how to buy a house. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
Awesome. In that first year, so it took you about 3-4 months to get your first deal. In that first year, you don't have to know specifics, but what did you sell in that first year?
$1.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And back then the deals were small.
Yeah, I
It
price
was-
points were lower,
Yeah, a
right?
lot lower, right.
So
Yeah.
when you think $1.5 million, where were you in your brokerage at that time?
In terms of volume? or
Yeah,
in
I mean,
terms
just,
of-
you know, I think,
I don't know if we gauged it that much back then. I know when I decided driving home one night that driving down Highway 100 and there was a Edina Realty there. And, you know, I thought, I think there's more to this than a very small firm.
yeah,
So I walked in there and sat down with the manager and told him what I did. And he, you know, most managers will hire you anyways, but he's like, yeah, you need to be here and you need to be in our training. And so I immediately switched.
Okay.
I went to Edina Realty at the time and what was great, you know, another great training there. I did some training for them on my cold calling system. And, you know, from there, it just started to take off.
okay, so from there, where did it go? You were a solo agent, this is year 2 now,
Yep,
2 or 3.
Yep, solo agent. So there was a great place at the time for me. The manager, you know, I was helping at a very young age and there was young agents there as well and I'm doing some of the training and stuff. And then what happened for me is sort of an unusual circumstance which got me into new construction. And that is that the manager at the time had a very, very successful sales agent that was in new construction and representing one of the top builders, custom builders at the time. And he unfortunately this gentleman had a severe problem. And he was a great new construction salesperson, but he had a very severe drinking problem. And when he drank, it's one thing to go out and get drunk and have a little hangover the next day. Well, this guy would go on like a 3-week bender. So it was unusual. The manager went around to a bunch of agents in the office, mostly all the top agents at the time, and then finally came into my office and said, hey, would you, I've asked everybody, nobody wants to take the time to do it because they just don't want to do it. And I go, what do you need, Don? And he said, well, I need somebody to sit in these models. We have gorgeous models. And back then, gorgeous models, they were in Plymouth and they were in the 300 range, 350, 360. So it was very high end for me back then, because most of the stuff I was selling was 60, 80,000.
Yeah.
And I says, wow, yeah, I'd love it. I'll go out there and sit out there. And he goes, I don't know how long it'll be. This is Roger. He's, so-and-so is going to have this builder, and builder needs help really bad. I said, okay. I went out there, sat in the models, and knowing that it would just be temporary, I was helping people out. And well, what happened is I started getting the builder appointments and starting to really have some success. And then Roger came back, and now at the time, the builder said, well, I don't want to get rid of Jeff. He said, you're doing a great job. And he said, so this went on for about 6 months to almost a year. And finally, the builder said, well, here, Jeff, I'm going to give you, this project on your own, and he went, unfortunately, back and forth with Roger for a couple more years, and just unfortunately, the gentleman passed away. And I became the sole agent for this top custom home builder.
So let's go back to you sitting in one of these, right? Because I think we've all been, as agents, have probably went to Parade of Homes or whatever it might be, and you've got the agent that's literally just sitting in one, right? So if you're making appointments, you weren't just sitting in these things like, oh, take a look around. It's a 5-bedroom, 4-bath. Yeah, it's really nice. Let me know if you have any questions, right? You weren't doing that.
There's a little more to new construction than just that.
Yep.
It's not easy to be a new construction agent. There's, a lot of things that go into that mix. And one is a lot of lonely days, okay? There's a lot of time you sit there and don't get anybody in that door. And I understood that too, but I took advantage of that where I did my prospecting there. So I took it not as a negative, like most agents that were asked to have this position. They took it as a negative to say, oh, I don't want to sit there and, nobody may show up, and Roger comes back, he's going to say, see you later. And, everybody passed on the opportunity, but me, because I looked at it differently than most people look at most things. So again, that's where, you got to be an outside thinker to be in this business. First of all, you have to always be thinking one step ahead of most people. So it was just, that's what I did. And it turned out extremely well for me. That builder I repped for 18 years and learned everything I know today about new construction. And so,
can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Do you know a lot of agents that rep any builder more than like 5, 6 years?
I really don't.
I mean, that's a really tough thing to do. Like you provided, you had to have provided a lot of value there to him.
Yeah. And so that's a whole other discussion, right? Of the value you bring to the builder, which I do on a daily basis. So that's why the current builder that I'm repping, Charles Cudd, I've been so successful with because I bring them projects, right? So every day I look for land. I do it every day, in and out. I take different roads to work every day. I'm not on that same routine. I'm out looking for land every day for my builder. So that keeps me in business, right? Yeah. So again, when we talk about what an agent does every day, depending on what you want to do in your business, I'm a heavy lister. I create my own listings, and I always have. Since I started at night, I always created my own listings by finding the project. So I know, whether it was last year going into this year, or this year going into next year, I already know the 6 new projects that I have lined up that are coming on this year will produce me about 150 new listings over the next 24 months. So, and it's just always that way. So I just always have tons carrying over, and I keep creating more developments for my builder to keep building me homes. So it's from.
So that's a whole, like, we might get into that if we have enough time. So you rep this builder for 18 years, you said, right?
Yeah.
What did your business look like as you kept repping? Were you a solo agent for that full 18 years?
No, so we'll go back to sort of the beginning.
Okay.
So I was at Edina Realty for 4 years. My assistant manager at the time there was let go, and he went and was the head manager at Coldwell Banker Plymouth.
Okay.
And so I decided to make that move. Most of my business was in Plymouth, not St. Louis Park, where our office was. So I made the move to Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
About 2 years into Edina Realty, real quick, I got my first assistant. So that was the biggest change in my business at the time to help me grow. Is I was very young at getting an assistant. There was only about 3 assistants in the whole office, with agents doing 10 million was a really big year back then, 12 million. So right at about 4 million, I hired my first assistant, and that helped me grow and continue to build my business. And then as soon as I got to Coldwell Banker, I started my own team. I was the very first person at Coldwell Banker to have a team. They changed the comp plan at Coldwell Banker for Jeff Holmers because I'm the only person that had a team back then. And so again, thinking out of the box, because my business was growing, and what I did for this particular builder, I would find the land, he would buy the land, we would pick out, if there was 30 lots, he'd pick out the top 15 lots that he wanted to build on. And then we'd go to 2 or 3 other tier builders that wouldn't be competing with him, say at 400, we'd go find a builder that would build at 275. And I would go, he would let me go find those builders, and I would rep them as well. So I had the whole neighborhood. So if there's 30 homes, I listed every single home, whether it was my top builder or my second tier builders, I repped them all. So that's where I needed more people right away. So then I created my own team, and then Coldwell Banker had to figure out, well, how do we do this? We've never experienced this before. So they came up with a new comp plan, and then that followed with other people in Coldwell Banker having teams. I became one of the top agents at Coldwell Banker very, very quickly. I was in the top 50 every year I was there. And that's just, again, how I was doing business.
And you were in like your mid-20s at this time, right?
Yeah, I was, so yeah, I was about 27, really taking off at that time. You know,
Okay.
at that time it started to really take off. And, you know, back then doing 10 million in a year was a lot, you know, 12 million. And then it just grew. And I think my biggest year I had at Coldwell Banker was 47 million. And that was probably in early 2000s is when I hit that. So.
So as you were at Coldwell Banker, you started your team.
Hello. You started your team.
Yeah.
Where did it go from there? How many people were on your team?
I think I had up to 5 at the time. I think the most I ever had there was 5 on the team.
Okay. And what were you doing volume wise? 47 million. What
47 was my
units?
top. I was, you know, 20 and 25, and it just sort of kept building up to that.
Okay.
47, you know, I
Thank you.
We're back on. Okay, so during that, you know, what were some things you learned during that point in time, right? Because your team is much different now.
Yep.
But during that time, what did you learn?
Well, expanding and always being out front thinking, always doing, you know, something that nobody else would do. And I think that's what kept the motivation up and just being creative, you know?
Yeah. And so then where did you go after Coldwell?
After Coldwell, in 2004, I started my own real estate brokerage.
Okay.
Which most people will know the name Denny Hecker. He kept me. And I don't want to say it was the biggest mistake in my life, because I think everything's a learning curve in life. And we opened our own office. He came to me. We were at a lot of golf tournaments together, and I was the head of the Wayzata Golf or Wayzata Hockey Association. We had this big golf fundraiser at the country club, and so I bought, the biggest prize was $10,000. I bought his trip to the Masters on his Lear jet, and he convinced me to see, he says, I see your signs everywhere and I want to get into the land business. So I said, oh, okay. He says, you don't have to use your money, you don't have to use banks, we'll use my money, and we'll bring in a bunch of builders, we'll start a real estate company. And, you know, I was doing very well at the time. And you know, unfortunately, I did it with them. And a lot of people from Coldwell Banker came with me. I had 75 agents that started an office fairly quickly. And things, you know, we bought a couple of huge developments together. We were partners. And then, fortunately, he had his car business. I was running the real estate business, and he got into some trouble. And then the market crashed, of course, in 2006, 7, and 8, and sort of wiped us out. He was wiped out anyways, his personal life. But that sort of took me down as well, because he filed bankruptcy and we were on very large loans together with developments. And I'm talking $12 or $13 million loans, you know? So, you know, at the time, everything was rosy. It was making a lot of money and things were great, and they came crashing down fairly quickly. And that was the end of that story. So from there, when we closed up shop and stuff, then I went back to a diner realty for a while. And then ended up landing at KW back in 2011, maybe 12.
So I like that you say, you know, it wasn't a mistake. It's a learning experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame anybody but myself. Everybody would say, you gotta be really mad at Denny. I'm not mad at Denny. I'm mad at myself for, you know, what I had and what I had built up. And when I say this, I don't take this wrong, but you know, I was making $500,000 a year at 40 years old. I wanted to retire at 50, and I would have easy bet on that road, you know.
Yeah.
But Denny just said, you think too small. 50 grand a month is nothing, and you should be making 100 or 150,000 a month. So I took that, and you know, I shouldn't have looked at it that way, but I did, and I let my business go because all of a sudden I had 75 agents, and then I had to run the office, and so it screwed up my business and my plan, and you know, so, but it's a learning curve, and it took me a while to get back, but you know, I did the same things I was doing, and that's why I'm back, and I'm doing more business than I've ever done. So,
I was like, you're not just back.
yeah.
Like, this isn't just like I'm back. I
Right.
mean, if we go over what your numbers look like last year, that's better than I'm just back. So that, I mean, that has now been, you know, how long have you rebuilt, right? Because it was essentially rebuilding. That happened fairly quickly, it seems to be. And that was back going to the system that you had done before. Is that
Well,
correct?
The system I had in terms of bringing a builder a project. And so Charles Cudd, who I rep today, is one of the top custom home builders in now, bar now. And so I brought them a project. I brought them several, but the first couple really got me back on the map quickly. 2 projects were extremely successful, and now we have lots of them, right? So
I'm curious on that, right? When you say you brought them a project, right? So I think we can probably both agree that builders sometimes think that there's no value essentially in agents. So you obviously, again, brought value to this builder who probably wasn't being repped really prior to. How did you present this to them and say, hey, here I am as an agent that's going to provide you value that you might want?
Exactly. So what I did was I put the land deal together first with a developer. And I said, I got the builder that I know we should have in here. So then I brought it to the builder and, laid it out, and it was a country club site. And I said, your product would be beautiful here. It's an empty nester product that I think the future is in need of. And, nobody at the time, this was 6-7 years ago, was like, really? You think? Yeah, I'm telling you, this is where the future of real estate is. It's the empty nester, because that's who's coming up. And so with that, they went all in, and I brought them back-to-back projects. Well, year after year, I've been bringing projects, but now we are the largest builder of detached villa products in the state.
So you were almost future pacing what the market was going to need, right? Because
Absolutely.
you knew
have to stay ahead of
you knew your buyers.
Yeah.
You knew the economics that were there and where they were going, right?
Mhm.
And you knew the lifestyles. So, I mean, it wasn't just like, hey, guess what? Here's this land for X. You can put this on it, and we're gonna just hope and pray on a dream that this sells.
Right.
You kind of walked them through it the whole way.
Absolutely. And that again is being up on top of the market, knowing your market, and be forward thinking of what's around the corner, what's coming next, right? And the empty nester market is the biggest market we have today. So, and it's getting bigger. And that's why we can't build them fast enough. We have lines of people that want our product, and our developments are selling out as fast as we open them today.
Okay, so now you've got this new relationship with Charles Cudd.
Mhm.
How did you then build your team after that?
Well,
So take us from that
okay,
to
so
current
I'm
day.
going to take you to 6 years ago when Justin, my son, came on board with me. I said, hey, you need to get your real estate license. I got a lot of things going on, and it's a perfect fit. And so together, we've been building the last 6 years a tremendous business with Charles Cudd. And so that's where that started then. And then a couple of years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago now, we started adding people to our team. And we were adding to this day. I mean,
Okay.
so.
In regards to, what does that relationship now look like between you and Charles Cudd?
Stronger than ever. They, put Justin and I up on pedestals. We've done a phenomenal job. They've never been so busy. They cannot keep up with starts, and they've had back-to-back record consecutive years, and they've been around 45 to 50 years. So they're not just, and they're having record years with us, and they contributed to us.
So they helped you grow, you helped them grow.
Absolutely.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure that they're also a huge referral base for you in regards to friends and family that they know.
We do some of that for sure. They got a lot of past clients as well.
Okay.
The following of Charles Cudd's name is phenomenal, right? So that's, so the new construction with Charles Cudd is one thing. The other thing that is huge, again, creating our own listings, and that's when we sell, somebody comes into our model, they want to put a lot on hold. Oh, we have a house to sell, right? So we get a lot of the backup houses too.
Okay.
So again, it's creating our own listings. And that's a key thing when you're in this business, that we know typically when you list a home, you're going to the bank. With a buyer, you just never know, right? So the old saying, buyers are liars, and we've all been through that. So I'm not a big fan of buyers. I don't work with a whole lot of buyers just for that reason. They're very time consuming, and I focus on finding land and doing deals.
And you build your business though, to start with, on buyers.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I had to start there for
Yep.
sure. Yep. Today
Awesome.
I'm too busy with the developments and listings and all that, but I don't have time to, I do not cold call today for buyers just because I'm too busy with listings. But when you don't have anything, you start with buyers. That's the key thing, starting with buyers, getting your feet wet, showing houses, talking to people on a daily basis about real estate.
So when you go places, does everybody know that you're a real estate agent? I mean, do you talk
Just
about
because
it?
I've been around so long. It usually comes up in discussions, you know, today, some of the formal greetings, whether it's at a Christmas party or wherever it may be, it's, you know, some small chat is always, oh, what do you do? Right?
Yeah.
So, well, I sell real estate and develop land, you know, and so that brings you into a wide conversation. What do you mean? You sell real estate and develop land? And that gets me into talking about my real estate business.
Okay. All right. So we went through some of the other questions, but I'd like to pick out a few things. If you were to go and kind of pick through what you just told us, right? What do you think was the most influential point or moment in your career?
I think that was when I took the leap, when that manager asked me if I would do something that nobody else wanted to do. And that was to go sit in a model with, you know, zero expectations, you know, can't promise you anything, Jeff. And I love that challenge, right? So I ate that up and I made the most of it. And it was life-changing.
Awesome. And then, you know, if you were to have, like everyone was new, right? New agents or someone interested in real estate, what would your advice be to them?
Well, today, like a lot of things, it's not easy just to jump into business. But if you're a brand new agent or even an experienced agent that is lacking, you know, why don't I have the business? What am I doing wrong? What you need to do is you need to treat this like a job. I've been in the business 34, 35 years, and I've seen this, and I've been at large offices, and I'm typically 90% of my career, I'm an office guy. What I mean by that is I was always the first one there. I went to the office every morning at 6 o'clock. I would get up at 5 o'clock, no matter what I did the night before. I was at the office every morning, planning my day. What am I going to do? And most people don't treat it like a job. Most people treat it like, oh, I got my own business, I'm free, I can come and go, and they fail, okay? So we all know the failure rate in this business is very high. If you take 100 people January 1st, by December 31st, there might be 10 left. And you better take that to heart if you're new in this industry, because that's a reality. And the reality is because they don't work. They're not doing 4 opens a weekend. They're not cold calling. They're not cold calling their friends, taking a neighborhood, walking it, doing the things you need to do to get started in this business. And I say it's still way easier to start in this business today than when I started. So if I can do it back then at 23, you can certainly do it at 25, 30, 35, 40 today. So treat it like a business, treat it like a job, work 7 days a week until you can go down to 6 days, and then maybe you'll go down to 5. And that's very hard to do in this business. But treat it like a business if you want to stay in the business and be successful. That's my, you know, words of wisdom. I see it so often that, you know, I never see anybody in this office. That's, to me, I'm like, get in here, get to work, listen, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I'm a big component of that. I know we're gone through a pandemic and everything, but the reality is get to work, right? And treat it as a business and a job that you do every day. You know, not that you can run home, oh, honey, I'll go pick that up for you. I'll do that. Get the mind thinking that you're on a job and that's your job.
Awesome. So just knowing you and you know, you went, you kind of were grinding it all out and made this huge business. What are some things during that, you know, because it feels like you're really confident in all those. It's like, oh, picking up a phone, no problem, right? Was there ever any like, okay, I'm uncomfortable doing this, but I know I have to do it?
Absolutely. The very first day.
Okay, so that it's not like it was like, hey, guess what? I'm so excited and I'm going to do this, right?
No. And it's hard to pick up that phone. Like anything, sometimes if you have tough talking or challenge talking to people, it's going to be tough, but you got to get through that. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say the wrong things, but it's a learning every day. I learned today. I mean, I still learn on different things, you know? But yeah, you have to pick up the phone. You have to be able to talk to people in this business, and you always have to have a stack of business cards in your pocket.
Awesome. So before we open this up to questions, what's the future for the Holmers team?
The
What's that look
future
like?
for the Holmers group is very bright. I can tell you that. We have lots of new projects coming on. We're very excited about. I want more vacations that I'm going to take, and but you know, we're hoping for another great year. We have a ton of stuff that's carried over. Houses that we sold last year. We even have houses that we've sold that are already not close till 2022 because we can't get them started in time. So I'm thankful for that. You know, we'd love to do another 100 million in sales. You know, that's hopefully a reality for us. And I'm hoping some of my new people on my team can get more involved in new construction as they grow. Not everybody can do new construction and, you know, right away when they hit the ground running or jump on our team. It's a learning process, you know, but hopefully they can, you know, and I'm hoping I can, you know, turn over a project or two. And as Justin and I get busier and, you know, with more and more projects that we grow our team and yeah.
Awesome. Since it was all business and you just kind of led me to the fact that you want more vacations, share with us where do you want a vacation and why?
Well, the number one spot is Naples, Florida for me. I back in 2003, before I opened my own real estate company, I bought a brand new home down there, built it in Naples, and you know, had a beautiful cabin up on Cross Lake, beautiful home in Plymouth, and life was a dream, right? And you know, I was probably a little early at my age then, back at 40, to buy a home down in Naples, Florida, when my kids were still pretty young, 4 boys, and we were a very active family. I did a lot of coaching and stuff, so I might have been just a little bit early. But I went there for a week in December. I went there for just 2 weeks now, and I'm going back there for 2 or 3 weeks in February. And that's my goal, to be back there. Probably gonna either build a new home or buy one, and continue to spend more time down there in the winter, and hopefully a little less time as I can, you know, I'm 57 and a half, and as I get older, I just want to do that more, you know, be probably 6 months there, 6 months here, and probably still dabble in real estate.
Awesome. Well, your Naples is like my Montana. So there you go. If you don't have the goals, you're not going to get there.
Exactly.
All right, guys, I'm going to open this up for some questions. Feel free, you might have to talk a little bit louder just because we're a little bit away from my computer. But who has questions?
Hey, Jeff, it's Ryan Cole. Can you just talk a little bit more about your land prospecting? How you go about that?
Sure. It happens several ways, Ryan. It's either me just driving around and finding land and checking who owns it, you know, and calling them. That's what happened on Medina Country Club. I knew about the land, and so I knew who the owner was, and went back to my office one day, and Justin had just started, and I go, God, I gotta find this guy's number. He goes, what's his name? And, I'm not as techy as him. And I gave him the name, and he got me the number and called him and had a meeting with him and did a land deal. And so that's one way is finding them. Other ways is, I just did a deal with Scott Nagley in the office here. We just put under contract a $2,075,000 land deal in Plymouth that, I brought to Cud, and Cud's buying it, and I'm gonna have 19 home sites there. So MLS, but I also get a lot of calls from agents that have known me in the business a very long time and know what I do. They call me with deals. I had a great one call me on a Long Lake deal that I did. Cud and I bought it together, and we had 3 lots done there. So it comes in several different ways, but in all 3 of them are, good, I guess. They just sort of come out of the woodwork, but I'm on the hunt every day. I mean, I got the land search on all over the Twin Cities. I'm looking at property all the time. We started our own magazine last year for the Holmers Group. I got a call last night right out of the magazine. The guy's got a magazine and picked it up at Cub Foods. Says, "Hell, I see you do land deals and you're looking for land and stuff." And I says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I got a lot on Rush Lake, right outside of Forest Lake." And this is an older gentleman, and he says, I'm ready to sell it. I go, "Okay, well, what's the address?" And I'll go look at it and tell you what I think it's worth. And he says, "Well, you gonna buy it?" Or I says, "Well, that might be a possibility. I might buy it." Or, I've sold 20 or 25 lake lots in the last 3-4 months. So I'm sure I could sell it for you too. He goes, "Okay, well, just tell me what it's worth and then we'll go from there." I go, "Okay." So it comes from many different sources. So.
Thank you. That's great. And you have the vision too, because I know the Medina Country Club one well. That looked to me like there wasn't even room for houses between the road and the golf course. And then I see that go together and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't know if this is, I don't know if it's too personal. I'm going to ask and you can see if it is or not. But I was wondering, when that crash hit, was your business, did you form it as an LLC so you didn't get hit so hard, or did you have some protection on you for that?
That's a great question. It's not too personal. I'm a pretty open book guy. That's sometimes to a fault. No, I was totally devastated and wiped out, 100%. They were personal guarantees with the developments that Denny and I had together. We're 50-50 partners on, like I had mentioned, very large land deals. One was 13.5 million, the other one was 11.5 million. So when you sign personally on stuff like that, they come after you. And unfortunately, I lost everything. So yeah.
Have you done something different because of that? Or would you recommend that?
Yes, I'm very cautious of what I personally sign my name on today, especially at my age. At 40, I was like, nothing can stop me, but rude awakening quickly. So today I'm very selective what I put my name on in terms of what I'm signing up for. Those were very large developments. One was 100 acres, one was 80 acres, and multiple lots. And to develop, land like that, it costs a lot of money. So, I'm not so sure I'd do that again, no matter what the circumstances are. But I do little deals, I'm more comfortable with, that I can fully control. So.
Well, thank you for your transparency in the whole thing. This has been amazing. So thank you.
Bet.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Yeah, I can pop in. Jeff, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced with growing the team in terms of numbers of agents and having people like outside yourself and Justin on the team? And how did you overcome them just over time?
I think one of the biggest thing is letting things go. Is probably the hardest thing. You know, to let deals go and say, here, take care of this. And I think we turned over our first project to Connie and Carla. And, you know, we're getting more comfortable with, because first of all, we have a lot more projects coming on. That's one of the main things. We're so new construction heavy, which is and isn't a good thing. I've tried to balance the business off for more existing and bringing on more agents to try to create that. And that's where we started our own magazine. And we started a new, well, not new now, we started it last March or April, our 72 Sold program to try to balance our business out. And so with that system, which has cost a lot of money per month, it's starting to really produce. And so we can pass those leads on to those agents to help build their business and ours as well. But that's creating more listings, which that's my focus all the time. And it also creates buyers for the people that are selling their homes that we list. So that's probably the biggest challenge, but we hope we overcome that hurdle. You know, I tried many things. I spent thousands of dollars in 2019 signing up with all these programs and giving them $10,000 a month for these leads and all their junk. And we chased them and it just never panned out. So this new lead gen system that we have is going well, and we hope that continues.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeff. I think that everyone that was probably on this call learned a ton from you. And again, thank you for your vulnerability and transparency in your business. I think we all probably could go off mute and give them a round of applause because that was great. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Wendy, I'm going to have you take this over.
Okay. Alrighty, hold on. I'm gonna do the share screen thing. All right. Oh, you want to stop here, Kami? Oh, she's muted. Okay, so let's celebrate cappers. This week, Casey and Christy Kimbrell capped. Yay! Congratulations to them. Jim, I think we're out of time, so if we can come back to you next week, is that okay?
That's fine. No problem.
Thank you. Our Avengers Challenge. I'm going to just skip through all this and get right to the leaderboard for this week. Team Captain America leads in week 4 for this week with 27 points, followed closely by Black Widow, Black Panther. Lagging behind is Team Captain Marvel, and Iron Man. Overall, though, it's a different story, boys and girls. Iron Man leading with a massive whopping 66 points. Team Black Panther close on their heels at 54. Black Widow at 52. Captain America, 51.
Whoa.
Funny, because Captain Marvel here is way down at 32. Now, guys, I just want to remind you, you need to let us know about your buyer rep agreements. Everything else is tracked through Command. So if you aren't putting your deals in Command, your PAs, your listing agreements, all that, we don't get any points. And there's bonus points. Kami, tell them how to get bonus points this week.
All right, so guys, bonus point this week is sending me, is there anyone this year, last year, or in the previous years that you want to, 1, reconnect with, or 2, just let know how great they were in a transaction. An agent that's not in this office, but could potentially thrive from joining Keller Williams, or even just having a conversation with myself. If you refer me a name of an agent, that gets you a bonus point this week. And when that happens, I will make sure to follow up with you what that appointment looks like.
Yes, awesome. And Team Captain Marvel, go out there and get all the names you can. We need help. All right, Jeff, we talked about, heard from him. Do you want to do the family reunion stuff, Kimmy?
Yeah, so family reunion, we had our bonus points last week. It's February 15th through the 18th. We now have the agenda that is available. So when you go on to the family reunion site, that agenda is there. You guys, this is not about being on Zoom for 3 days straight, quite honestly. However, the value that it's going to bring in the vision speech, especially for, different topics like what's going on with other brokerages, what's going on with Zillow now becoming more prevalent than it ever has been, and what's Gary have to say about that in the economics. Then go in, take a look at the schedule, and pick out 1 or 2 classes that you want to attend. It is well worth the $80. If you get one thing to implement, honestly, what is that $80 going to pay forward? So the other really cool thing about this is we as an office are going to be offering, if you're like $80 is just way too much for me and I don't want to do that, awesome. Refer a guest to me, to the office. And if we can get that guest to come with as kind of something that you suggest, not only do they get to go for free, you do as well. So that's a win-win and probably the biggest bonus for the week.
Yay. All right. Awards. Do you want me to talk about it or you?
Yeah, no, you go ahead and tell them about the awards.
You guys, every year we do awards. We celebrate the achievements of the year ahead. This year it's going to be February 10th. We are working on our in-house celebration or Zoom celebration and how we do that so we can all come together and celebrate. There is something we're celebrating in 2020 and we want to make the most of it. So please right now, go time block off that hour, 11 to 12 on February 10th and plan to be here for that. Heather, this is you, girlfriend. Tell us all about the big launch of the new KW Lake Minnetonka concierge service.
Awesome. We are launching KWLM concierge service. These are some options that you can request for some marketing help, some lead follow-up systems helps. We also have transaction coordination provided by Profile. These are full services that we are able to provide to the market center, to every agent. We have a website that goes along with this. That is where where you can place the order for these services. It has a lot of detail on that website. We have been using a small lab group that has been working with us, getting the service ready. I will be after the meeting sending out a website link and some more information of everything that we will be offering, and go ahead, try some of these services. Let me know if you have any questions and need any more detail about it, but that will be coming out shortly after this meeting and also posted on Facebook.
Awesome.
And guys, this is so many things that you're like, I don't want to do,
Yes.
right? Or things that you're like, I don't know how to do, or guess what? I don't have time. Go on, take a look at these and give them a try. Because over, the last few years, a lot of agents, these are things that can just make your life easier.
And there's something as simple as just the compliance and document submission. That's where we are taking your paperwork, you are emailing it to us, we are separating it out for you, creating the opportunity, putting it in there and submitting it in for compliance review. We're not doing any following up because that's for transaction coordinator, but just that option is there for you if you just don't want to get those documents in there. So lots of options available. I'm excited to send out the email with all the details.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so we have a really exciting announcement to make today. So, last week, I feel like we're probably giving a lot of announcements, but we have some changes happening in our market center. Wendy is going to be going into full-time production. So she is going to be, I'm going to let her talk details about it. She is going to be joining a team, and she's got some big goals this year for her production. So in the very near future, we are going to be looking to fill some really big shoes. So we're going to kind of launch out next week on that job search or that position search. But if you know of anyone prior to that, feel free to contact us, as we're getting everything in order for what that position looks like, because things are obviously changing in the market in regards to technology and everything. So there might be some new skill sets that we'll be looking for. So with that being said, Wendy, tell us a little bit about the exciting new future for you.
Yes. So 2020, I got my license. That was one of the wins of 2020. And I will be joining Paige and continuing the legacy for building the business that my dad started back in 1988 or something like that. And so we will be partnering together to continue to move that forward. My goal for us is to join him and his team when he starts over on his cap May 1st, and to cap in our first 6 months the first year and our first 3 months the next, and eventually be able to help him build that team, and then maybe even move back into leadership here to help new agents grow their teams. So those are my big goals, my big dreams. And don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. You'll probably still see more of me than you'd like. And I'm excited to help the team find someone really fabulous who can bring a lot of energy, who can really accelerate command education and other pieces for us. And so I think it's win-win for everybody all the way around.
Wendy, I
Definitely
am
for me.
incredibly excited. What was that, Paige?
I said that win definitely for me.
Well, we are excited for everyone. I think it's a win-win all around. So you're not going anywhere. So you aren't going to be missed, because you'll be around. All right. Needs and wants. What do we got for that, guys?
I still have buyers who are needing to find a place up around Big Lake area. He works in Elk River, and so around Big Lake, Monticello, all in there, 300 and below, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and 3-car garage, preferably.
Awesome.
I have a buyer up in the Maple Grove area, but Plymouth, Minnetonka, Eden Prairie is okay too. I'm looking for a unit in a 4-plex up to 225. If you know of something coming on the market, we'd like to do a before market offer.
Awesome.
I have a buyer need of something that's kind of newer construction. The problem always is availability and how far out, right? So something up to around 350, Elk River, Otsego, St. Michael, anywhere in that area, Big Lake even. 3+ bedrooms, 2+ bath, pretty standard, simple, easy, 350.
Awesome. Anyone else? All right, if that's all we got, I hope you guys have an awesome Wednesday. Don't forget to get your bonus points in. Tell us about your buyer contracts, and check in with your team captain if you have any questions. All right, go get them, guys.
See you guys. Whoop, whoop.